An 81-year-old woman came to see me because she was struggling to walk through doorways. Now, most people would assume the doorway was the problem. After all, that's where she kept stopping, and that's where she kept freezing, and that's where she kept losing her confidence. But the doorway wasn't the problem. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this case. Because RTT is not magic. And very often it's about discovering that the thing causing the problem isn't the thing we first notice. So I became curious. I wanted to know what was happening just before she reached the doorway. And when we talked during the session, I discovered something very interesting. Every time she wanted to walk somewhere, whether it was to the lavatory, to the kitchen, or to another room, the same thought appeared: I won't make it. And now, at first glance, that sounds like a small thought, almost insignificant. But actually, let's follow what happens next when such thoughts appear. Because thoughts rarely travel alone, and they create reactions, and reactions create outcomes. And so if you genuinely believe that you're not going to make it, you're not naturally going to feel anxious. And when you feel anxious, your body starts preparing for danger. Movement becomes less natural because muscles tighten, and confidence drops as a result. And suddenly, walking becomes much harder than it needs to be. So, by the time she reached the doorway, she wasn't simply walking through a doorway. She was walking through a doorway carrying fear, tension, self-doubt. And eventually she would stop, freeze, sit down, rest, and start self-doubting herself. And so every time that happened, her confidence dropped a little bit more. And now let's have a look what was really happening, because the doorway wasn't creating the fear. The fear was arriving before the doorway. The doorway was simply where the fear became visible. And when we looked at the pattern, it became very clear. Now, let me show you what we discovered. So, I want to go somewhere. I want to walk somewhere. Thought appears: I won't make it. Then followed by anxiety, tension in the body, and then she would eventually freeze at the doorway. Fear increases and confidence drops. So that's, let me show it to you. That's an old pattern. And so once the pattern repeats itself enough times, the brain starts treating it as evidence. Like almost it's saying, see, I told you this wasn't safe. And the fear starts proving itself, not because it's true, but because it's been repeated so many times. And so now we didn't spend our time during the session working on the doorway. We worked on what happened just before the doorway, the thought. Because if you change the beginning of the pattern, the thought, you change everything that follows. And so, together, we found a simple phrase that felt believable for her. And that's really important because not every phrase works. It has to feel true. It has to feel believable. And so we didn't use everything is perfect or I will never fall, because her mind wouldn't believe those statements. Instead, we found something much simpler. One step at a time. And notice how different that feels. Because the original thought was focused on the whole journey, the toilet, the kitchen, the destination, and that all equals to the possibility of failure. But the new thought focused just on one step, just the next step, nothing more. And when she thought one step at a time, she felt calmer. And when she felt calmer, her body relaxed. And when her body relaxed, movement became easier. And every successful journey started rebuilding confidence. And so the pattern became want to go somewhere, one step at a time. That's manageable. And as a result, breathing is calmer, body relaxes, and she moves steadily through the doorway. It results in a successful journey and her confidence grows. And so when I saw her a week later, she told me that she could walk from her chair all the way to the toilet without stopping. And she was moving comfortably now through doorways again. Now, was that magic? No, because the doorway didn't change. The house didn't change. And the distance didn't change. But what changed was the pattern. And that's why I often say the doorway or any other obstacle isn't the problem. The thought before the obstacle is. Because sometimes confidence doesn't disappear because you are incapable. Sometimes confidence disappears because fear gets there first. And once you change the pattern, you create the possibility for a different outcome. And if you are enjoying this series, consider subscribing. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you are curious about how RTT could help you with a pattern in your own life, you are welcome to send me a message. Thank you for watching RTT Is Not Magic. And remember that the problem isn't always where it appears to be. Sometimes all we need is look one step earlier. Thanks for watching.